Welcome back to Once Upon a Time, the podcast that starts like every classic story, but what comes next isn't. I'm Jamie Love.
And I'm David Ames.
And each week we ask our guests to choose 3 stories that shaped who they are and how they got there.
And this week, our special guest is stand-up comedian and podcast presenter and general all-round good egg. It's Lee Peart.
One of those is true.
Delete as applicable.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks
I
for
love
being on the
your
show.
living room. What a
Thank
gorgeous
you. Welcome to our
place.
lounge.
I've been in one before, very similar. It's lovely.
Exactly. Thank
Thanks
you
for
so
having
much.
me. I like the name, Once Upon a Time. It just clicked as you said it. I was like, Once Upon a Time.
There you go. See?
Good, it
We've-
clicks before we started the record, so that's...
It's almost
well,
like it's
handy.
been thought about.
It's almost like I didn't read the brief that was sent. No, I did.
Now, Lee, for those people at home who don't know who you are,
Commiseration. No.
Exactly. Tell us your story.
So yeah, comedian, presenter, occasional actor. Occasional actor. I'm as shocked as you are.
I know, I was surprised.
Oh God, no, I'm not. I don't really act anymore. I auditioned recently for a flight attendant and didn't get it. So I thought,
Was
Well,
there any
I'll
feedback?
act.
I mean,
So
Come
come
on.
on. Yeah.
I think I helped you with that one, didn't I?
No, yeah. No, what was the one?
Was it
you
that one or
helped
there was
with?
another one?
No, there was another one. No, because the flight attendant one I had to do in my house, and I had to say anything from the trolley. I don't know why I needed to do that, but apparently it wasn't good enough. So maybe that's why.
It's not convincing at all.
I know. So yeah, and yeah, podcaster now as well. Like
Indeed, on
YouTube.
Bottoms Up
Bottoms
alongside
up,
Alan
yes,
Carr.
yeah. Drinks wine podcasts. It's actually quite nice to not be drinking during a
Oh,
podcast today.
First one you do sober?
You what? Sorry.
Is the first one you do sober?
Well, no. As in
I mean, I
when we
wouldn't
do-
say that. Lunchtime wine.
Yeah. No, we do this wine podcast and we end up drinking and we don't spit it out. So we are the spittoons. So
I've said that before.
Yeah. So yes, no, it's nice to be here. It's nice to be talking about something other than wine. But yeah, I'm from Grimsby.
Indeed, Cleethorpes.
Well, Cleethorpes, yeah, it's really weird because everyone's always like, oh, whereabouts in Grimsby? And I'm like, Cleethorpes. And Cleethorpes is a different town to Grimsby. They are separate. But I was born in Grimsby because the hospital was there. So it basically says place of birth Grimsby.
Right.
But I grew up in Cleethorpes all my life.
Okay.
So, and I think people know
Grimsby
Grimsby.
adjacent.
I'm Grimsby adjacent. That could be a show title. That's good. But I think people know Grimsby more. So I kind of say, and I like to be a man of the people.
Of course.
Oh, look
Yeah,
at you.
Yeah.
Now, you, in your career as a stand-up comedian, you've warmed up for countless huge juggernaut shows,
Yeah.
so including Britain's Got Talent, Jonathan Ross, Big Brother, and tell us, for those of us who aren't stand-up comedians, what is it like walking out onto those stages in front of people? I mean, for me, I have people around me, I have a script to look at. For you, you walk out and it's just you. On the
David,
stage.
you're putting yourself down. You've done stand up before.
Oh,
I
let's
remember
not talk
that
about
night.
that one moment,
I remember
please.
that night. Roll the clip.
No,
please. Well, warm up is very different to stand up. So I got into stand up randomly. I went to the University of Salford,
Mhm.
and I kind of fell into it because I joined I went to the like the Freshers Fair
Yeah.
where you go, and I joined the stand up
Where everyone gets flu and they all
Domino's
learn-
vouchers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I joined the Stand Up Society because I was like, I'm going to do everything. Wrote a load of this material, and then the Stand Up Society kind of just disbanded. And then I had this material. So I went and did 5 minutes at a pub called the Lasso Gowery in Manchester, upstairs in like a little dingy pub. And I've said this before, and I will say it till I die. Like, if that had gone bad, like the first gig went well, relatively.
Mhm.
If it had gone bad, I would have gone, okay, that's not for me, bye, because I'm a quitter. I'm such a quitter. And actually, like books, I quit books very easily now.
I
Yeah.
struggle with doing that because I kind of feel, oh, well, I'm invested now. I
Yeah.
should kind of give it another chance. And then I go chapter, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I might as well finish it now.
Yeah, I think for me, it's the sunk low costs. I think I'm not enjoying it so far.
I think I've just become accustomed to disappointment.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, I think it's also that Netflix thing where you never used to have it with books where people would go, oh, it gets good. Just, give it chance.
Mhm.
Because on Netflix, you're like, 3 episodes. Yeah, it gets good by episode 3. Stick with it. You
There's no
shouldn't.
page in a book which says, "Are you still reading
Yeah,
this?"
yeah.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
When you've fallen asleep in front of it
Yeah.
and you wake up.
So yeah, I fell into it and then did stand up. But warm up is such a different thing. So the first time I ever did warm up was on Loose Women, and I ended up becoming the full time Loose Women warm up. But actually, what a lot of people don't know is I started Loose Women in 2017, like full time properly. But they got me in 2014 to
Oh, wow.
try out when I was 23. And I walked out like I was in a stand-up club and then realized that that's not really what you do. I used to be terrified of it. It was terrifying. If I ever watched an MC just chatting to the crowd, riffing, I would just think it was it was terrifying. Like I just never did it. And then I think Loose Women actually really helped with that because I had to just learn how to kind of chat to people. But
And to not be afraid of it, I guess.
exactly, yeah. And so yeah, for people who don't know, a TV show with an audience generally 9 times out of 10 will have what they call a warm-up act that gets the crowd going.
Well, if we talk about books, because your first book kind of touches on the kind of comedy side of kind of you
Yes.
discovering that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about your first book?
Yeah, so it was really interesting doing this actually, and I thought long and hard about it because I was thinking, it's books that shape you, right?
yeah.
And so the first one is Alan Bennett's Talking Heads.
Fabulous.
Fab. And in particular, I mean, that whole book of, for anyone who doesn't know, it's basically like a book of monologues,
Yeah, right.
essentially.
Made
So-
famous as well by being shown on the BBC way back in the
Exactly.
day. Patricia Routledge, Maggie Smith,
Yeah.
Julie
Walters.
Walters, of course.
Yeah.
Cream Cracker Under the Settee. That was what's her name
Oh.
from Last of the Summer Wine.
Researcher.
Quickly. I'll think of it.
It'll come to you
Yeah, it'll
at 1
come to
a.m.
me.
tonight.
Yes.
No, well, my main one was the Julie Walters Her Big Chance.
Yes.
And the reason I've chosen this book is because we read, and very quickly, that Her Big Chance is a story of this fading actress. Well,
Why did you look at me when you said that?
This extra, like, who is slightly deluded, all right? Slightly like, it's her big chance. And she's basically, not to spoil it, but been cast in what is essentially a porno.
Right.
But she's like, this is my moment, And Julie Walters does it so amazingly. And so the reason I chose this book is because I remember being about 14, I want to say 13, 14 in school. And we watched Her Big Chance on the screen. And then we were reading it and whatnot. And as a kind of exercise in English, we had to read out passages of it.
Yeah.
So we all went in different turns and was reading out passages of Her Big Chance. And of course, Dean's there like, then I moved into the thing and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it comes to me and I'm like, would Travis do that? I mean, and I start like properly just like
Bringing it to life.
acting and
Yeah.
performing it and delivering it. And the whole class was like in hysterics. Like it was the first time I was like, and I'd done a bit of acting before and whatnot, but I was like, I had the room.
Yeah.
And the English teacher like kind of was like, let me go on longer, and I was like doing it. And then we did something else, and I remember her then saying, right, if you get this done, if you get this done early, we'll find 5 minutes at the end and we'll get Lee to perform the monologue again for you. And then they all grabbed their pens and started writing. And I was
Oh my
thinking,
gosh.
firstly, you haven't asked me if I'm up
Secondly,
for that.
where's my agent? Let
Secondly,
me
I
get a
was up for
contract.
it. Yeah. I was like, get writing, everyone. But
What's my cut?
and I was thinking about it recently and I thought, I think that was the first time that I, firstly, the book, the way it's written is, I mean, it's funny reading it, but the delivery, how the delivery of something, even if it's not necessarily funny written down, it can be delivered funny.
Yeah.
And it was also a kind of, I was like, oh, comedy is powerful in a way. Like it's quite disarming.
And it can be universal as
It can
well.
be
There's certain,
universal. It created this kind of like, I think it was the first real early introduction of me doing something similar to stand-up. And at that time, I don't even really know what stand-up is, other than maybe I'd seen Peter Kay on on the TV. So I think it was like, it really informed me that I was like, oh, actually being funny is quite, because I wasn't really bullied at school, but I wasn't like, especially in the few years towards the end of the like year 11 and stuff, I was quite liked, but like I wasn't ever bullied, but I wasn't ever like the popular
Yeah.
kid. So I was always kind of that in between. And I remember in break then, people were like, Peart, like, oh. And I was thinking, oh God, this is all from me reading Her Big Chance. And it happened to be funny. But it was my first, I think, experience of how a book and performance can shape that and basically inform and have a bit of control. And
Yeah.
I do notice now, like, funny can be disarming. Like
Yeah.
in situations, if you walk in and if I'm not, you know, if I don't know anyone, if you do say something funny, you instantly have the room that it's, you know, already like a kind of relaxation into what can sometimes be, and often in this industry, you know, we do meet people who we haven't met before, or we're at events and we have to show our faces to stuff, and actually it's that level where you go, oh, okay,
Yeah.
disarm, control the room, not control the room as in like I'm controlling what everyone's doing, but you've got control of
Yeah.
your situation.
Yeah.
But how did it feel for you? Because I guess it's quite a young age, and like,
It was really,
was it
yeah.
validating? Was it
That's it, and
Okay.
I think that's if I suppose if we decipher this, stand up is the ultimate form of just wanting validation, because you're walking out onto a stage and saying, laugh at me, like,
Yeah.
and you
Or
know,
laugh with me, you know.
yeah.
And it's,
Well,
it's
sometimes, and I've walked on, and I sometimes will shout, validate me, validate, like, you know, because it's that
Yeah.
cheering and whooping and whatnot. And that was the first form of like you say, validation, where I was like, oh, okay, this works. This feels nice. This feels right. This feels good.
Yeah.
So I think that was kind of like a gateway into comedy for me, essentially. And actually, if I really think about it subconsciously, that's probably why I ended up doing stand-up when I moved to Manchester. I hadn't come out. Stand-up actually helped me come out as gay as well, because I was doing material about being gay, but I hadn't come out.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking,
was it your parents or was it your grandparents were going to come to a gig?
yes, my granddad, it's a true story, and I say it in my act, but my grandma and granddad got tickets to one of my gigs, and they didn't know that I was gay at the time. My parents did, and I was doing a show back home, and yeah, Dad was like, "Oh, Grandma and Granddad have seen it in the Grimsby Telegraph that you're doing this gig, and they've got tickets." So I had to go round before the gig and tell them.
Oh.
Yeah, and they were fine with it.
Probably easier than switching your whole set to be like.
Well,
straight
that's what my
jokes.
dad said. It was hilarious.
Talking,
I said, "Well, I can't." I talk about it on stage, and my dad said, "Can't you change your act?"
talk about football and
in 20
tits.
minutes.
So I did Her Big Chance. No, but yeah. So, but I remember going, if I'm going to carry on with stand up, I probably need to like come out properly, and that's when, yeah. And
how old were you at this point? Sorry.
Stand up, I started when I was 20, 19, 20, yeah. I didn't do a load at the start, but I yeah, it was that thing where I was like, I'm going to do this. But yeah, Her Big Chance, Talking Heads, and I recommend all the monologues in that, but Her Big Chance in particular, I still often go back to, and I just laugh out loud at some of the lines and the deliveries, and you know, she's just brilliant, Julie Walters, but also Alan Bennett as a writer, getting that nuance and that subtext. That's what I think as well. I look back and I think, and do you know what someone said to me once after a gig? When I was first starting out, and I always get this, I get Alan Carr, I get Tom Allen, I get Joe Lycett, I get any other gay comedian, generally, Julian Cleary, and this woman came up to me in Bristol, I remember it. She said, "I hope this isn't offensive. I'm going to, like, you remind me of someone." And I was thinking, right, who is it? And by the way, any of those comedians I'm happy to be compared to, but often it's basically you're going, oh,
You're the gay
they're
comedian.
gay as well.
Yeah.
And she said, "You remind me of Julie Walters." I went,
I've made
That's
it.
done.
I was like, oh my God. And I was like, thanks so much. And it's that level of detail and subtext that I like to do.
In a similar vein, I guess, with like Victoria Wood and the work she did with her
Love
and
that.
those monologues, those comedic sort of those observational humor, and also the playing of language. Obviously, Alan Bennett is incredible
Yeah.
with doing that, taking what could be banal, mundane situations
Yeah,
and
totally.
completely flipping it on its head, so to speak.
And I've always loved like the detail. You know, if I was going to say I choked on a biscuit, it's way funnier saying I choked on a Garibaldi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, why is that funnier? I
Yeah.
don't know,
Who knows?
but it is.
Speaking of moments, sort of, I guess, gateways in from going from sort of childhood into adulthood, forming who you are.
Mhm.
Your second book choice,
Mm.
which is The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown.
Yeah, it's a bit of a random one, but again, that was, I think, a gateway into books that you just are given to read in school and told to read. Into I chose this book, and it felt like a very, like you say, gateway into teenage to adult
Yeah.
books. Now, I'm sure there are many readers now who would say the Da Vinci Code is not necessarily an adult book, but when I'm 16, 17 and reading that, I felt like, oh God, I'm reading a proper book now. And it was the first time I felt like I was gripped. I was gripped to a book that I wanted to read. And well, it wasn't the first time. I will have to give a mention to Harry Potter, because that was in the childhood. And I remember that last book being like my heart beating out of my chest at those last scenes. And that was the time where I was like, okay, a book can grip you like that. But that felt very much like still my childhood years. The Da Vinci Code was like, oh, look at him reading the Da Vinci Code. I imagine if I was ever on like public transport, I would be holding it up so people could see it was the Da Vinci
Kind of like you were
Code.
sat there reading the Iliad, or
Yeah.
you felt like that. Yes, adult literature for me. only,
Yeah,
please.
totally. And I loved, it did kind of weird give me this pseudo intelligence, because probably at that age, did I understand all the kind of theological symbolism of it all? Probably not. But I was hooked. I loved it. I remember specifically a scene with oh, and I don't know if I need to explain the Da Vinci Code. I mean, surely people have seen the film, but I remember a scene with Teabing. I want to say someone Teabing. It was who Ian McKellen played,
Yeah.
and in the book, it's this kind of badass scene where he gets off the private jet or whatnot, and he doesn't let the authorities in, and it's all this. And I just remember being like, oh my! And I was so kind of consumed in the book. I remember I was reading it in France. I was on a holiday in France. I was just obsessed with this book. So that was the first time I think that I went, oh, there are adult books to read that can grip you, can
In the same way.
in the same way, yeah. And yeah, so I think that was like, okay. And that was almost like an identity in terms of Her Big Chance, I guess if we're looking at it philosophically, was kind of me, that early identity. This was my transition from teenager to adulthood with the reading. And that really did stick with me. And I remember thinking, oh God, it's the first time where I thought books can really hold a torch to films. Like they can grip you in the same way that films can.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I sometimes prefer a book. Well, I often prefer a book to a film, in the sense, not in me saying like, oh, the books are better than the film. I sometimes would go, I'd rather sit and read a book than watch a film.
Yeah.
I can
And use
sometimes
your
get
own
a bit bored
imagination
with films.
Yeah, well, you're being fed it, and you don't get to, I guess, your own imagination is more fun to escape to than something that's been depicted for you. But
Yeah.
were there any other sort of themes within the Da Vinci Code that you really sort of found fascinating, or anything that you've continued to kind of look into in adulthood?
Yeah, the who done it aspect, it's not necessarily a mystery, but it is like, who is behind all this, all that, like
the Illuminati stuff,
yeah,
and the sort of the big business, the conspiracy, the kind
I was
of
going to
behind
ask,
the
are you a bit
scenes.
of a conspiracy theorist? Do you like that? Like,
I wouldn't say I was a conspiracy theorist, but
Okay.
I would.
You love the theory, but you don't necessarily believe in it.
Yeah. I don't
You like to
practice.
hear the
Yeah.
theories.
Yeah, I've passed the theory, but I've not done my practical yet.
Okay.
Like no, I enjoyed hearing them, but I'm very much also I remember I was out for dinner recently and we were talking about, funnily enough, about COVID, and it all started to get a bit like, and I said, well, the thing is, I said, with me, I said, I don't like to necessarily, I said, I know this might be a bit burying head in sand, but I said, once I start delving really into it, I said, you get into like a hole and then you get more and more conspiracy theorist. And like, I don't want to do that. So sometimes I just touch the surface and look, but I don't delve.
Don't
And the
affect your
person next to me
algorithms.
went, she goes, yeah, no, I'm the same. You can get a little bit into it. She went, but that being said, I do think we are living with lizard people. And I thought, this is what I'm worried about.
How many bottles of wine down were you at this
No,
point?
She wasn't drinking.
Oh my
I
God.
was.
Well, you have to.
Yeah.
I was going to say, just to get through that.
Yeah.
my
I was
God.
like, so yeah, but no, it's more like the I wasn't that fussed about all the Knights of the Templar and all that stuff
Yeah.
that's explored in Da Vinci Code. I was like, who is it, who did it, and who's behind it, and there's
Yeah.
a big twist at the end and whatnot, and the through thread I remember being, what is the code to open this vial? And so I just loved all that, and I love like it's essentially a thriller, and I loved thrillers, and that's when I started reading an author called Simon Kernick, who was a great crime author as well, and I got really into his books throughout my 20s and stuff. So, but yeah, Da Vinci Code was the gateway. If Her Big Chance was the gateway into comedy and into kind of the power that
Performance
can
and-
give,
yeah.
Da Vinci Code was my gateway into adult reading, choosing books that you want to choose, and falling into a world. And like you said, films feed you, but you're feeding yourself when you're reading that book, and that difference was quite nice.
So, Lee, what is your third choice for us today?
So my third choice is Me Talk Pretty One Day by David Sedaris, and who I love. I'm obsessed with. I will say, I feel I've chosen that as a kind of umbrella book for most of his work. But that's kind of one of his, I dare say, his most popular, and one that really got me into him. It's basically a book. It's very similar, because when I was choosing these, I was like, but it is a book. But I was thinking, do they have to be novels or whatnot? But I was like, no, this is the book that I love, and so it's similar to Alan Bennett Talking Heads, but in the sense that it's more essays written by David. And he actually used to perform a lot of these on radio in America, and then he kind of published them into his essays. And they're essentially spoken word essays and monologues about, and Me Talk Pretty One Day is about his childhood in living in Normandy. That's the first half of the book. And then the second half are a load of essays about moving to Normandy with his partner. And yes, it's kind of like a collection of his life stories growing up, dealing with having a lisp, for example, dealing with
That one's
his
particularly funny, like just the teacher, the agent, as he refers to her.
Yeah. It's just honestly the way, and again, this goes back to Her Big Chance delivery. Because have you seen him live?
No, I've recently listened to him reading Me Talk Pretty One Day.
Yeah.
And it's quite incredible, especially when he does the bit about the Billie Holiday singing adverts from sort of
And Don't Kill the Rooster is one of my faves. Well, I saw him live in Manchester with a collection of his, and I met him afterwards. He always does book signings. He was so lovely, and hilarious. Like his delivery, the way he does it, he's got this kind of like sardonic kind of way of speaking. I always remember, this isn't in Me Talk Pretty One Day, but he goes, he's reading, I'm gonna butcher it, but he does this so good, and he says something like, a grandson came up to his grandfather, and his grandfather said, it's raining out. It looks like there's a storm brewing. And his grandson said, tell me something I don't know. So his grandfather said, my fist fits right up your grandmother's ass. And the whole place roared with laughter. And it's that level of just like absolute, it was just genius. And
Yeah.
so, but Me Talk Pretty one day I read, and it was okay, let's talk. So we've got Her Big Chance, gateway into comedy,
Yeah.
Da Vinci Code, gateway into reading and
Yeah.
adulthood and whatnot. Me Talk Pretty one day was my gateway into kind of identity and going, oh God, it's incredibly self-deprecating. It's incredibly
Acerbic as hell.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's some dark themes
Yeah.
in there. His life, he's writing about some not nice things,
Yeah.
but you never feel sorry for him. He has complete control. He has complete kind of he's in the driver's seat and he's
Yeah.
owning it. And
Mm.
I think that taught me that, oh God, and you've seen me on stage, I'm very high status. They say about in comedy, you're either low status or high status.
Okay.
Low status, you'll come on and be like, cheers, thanks, yeah. Oh,
Right.
you're a bit, Jack D maybe is a bit low status in the
Yes.
sense that is like,
Look at
um,
everything happening to me. Oh, this
yeah.
is, yeah.
But, high status, you come on, hello, I'm welcome, I'm here. I'm very much that. However, a lot of my comedy is from, I love a fall from grace.
Yes.
And I think that to me is the ultimate funny. And so I think David Sedaris kind of doing that, the fall from grace, the picking yourself back up again with humor, that was like, oh my God, I
Yeah.
love this. And
is that how it's always been for you with your comedy style?
generally, but I think the first few years, most comedians will say
Trying
they talk
things
about
out.
finding your voice.
Yeah.
And so if I look back, I used to wear cravats. And I was like 22. Like I didn't really know who I was.
Yeah.
I can't imagine you in a cravat.
I know. I just honestly, I was always smart, like crisp shit. I was just totally, and then so I was always like superbly dressed in kind of like immaculate, sharp, yeah.
Mm.
And I look back and I was probably maybe playing the part of a comedian in the
Right.
sense of that I was like just
What does
doing
one
it.
look
Yeah.
like? Yeah.
Yeah. And, dear friend of ours, Alan Carr, like I've said this to him before, he is a big comedy hero of mine. You Graham Nortons, you Victoria Woods. I was probably merging a lot of that comedy into each other. Even Ricky Gervais, I used to love his early work, and I remember seeing him live and a lot of the way he would do stuff as well. So you kind of like mix it all in, and then eventually you find your voice, and that's what a lot of comedians say, finding your comic voice. And then
Because some comedians are obviously, they're a lot more physical, enact things out. The slapstick. You look at someone like Lee Evans, for example, who, is renowned for being like incredibly physical.
Yeah.
Even Billy Connolly reenacts certain things, finds the humor in that. I would say from seeing your comedy, you are much more akin to David Sedaris in
Yeah.
you'll spin the yarn, you'll use your words to illustrate the picture as
Yeah.
opposed to reenacting it.
Yeah, I'm
on
not
stage.
massively physical as a
No.
comedian. No, I'm getting a little bit more because it's quite nice to play around. But I'm more of a shoot you a look rather than a
Yeah,
strike a
act it out,
pose.
yeah.
Or act out. Yeah. So yeah, and I think as well, like that just comes from starting young.
Yeah.
Some people start in their 50s. They know who they are.
Yeah, true.
They are that,
Yeah.
and then they go out and do it.
Yeah, so you were still finding you as you were
But
finding the
and
comedy you.
yeah,
and,
totally. And I remember reading Me Talk Pretty one day, thinking, "Oh God, yeah, this is self-deprecating. There's humor in it, and life isn't always great, but you can
Yeah.
pick yourself up and." You can be that person because you never feel sorry for him in it. He isn't vulnerable at any time, but doing something like comedy can be the most vulnerable thing.
Yeah.
But you shroud it in the humor, which is the guard.
Yeah.
So you never read David Sedaris thinking, I just want to give him a hug. He's like, I don't need a hug. Like,
Yeah.
this is it.
He'd be like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. So
love
that was
Yeah.
probably the one where I was like, oh, and if anyone listening or watching, like, there's a monologue he does called 6 to 8 Black Men. I think it's on YouTube.
Okay.
It is hilarious. It's
Okay.
about the Christmas story in the Dutch version of the Christmas story,
Okay.
and it is probably the funniest one of his. I don't think it is in Me Talk Pretty One Day, but I can't remember which one it is in. But it's hilarious.
Okay.
So I would highly
check it out.
recommend. Yeah. I also want to say I was just thinking as I was talking about this about Herbig Chance.
Yeah.
I am obsessed with a show called The Comeback.
Hmm.
Okay.
Which, for people who I'm sure some people know, Lisa Kudrow. It's on its 3rd series at the minute.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I watched that series when it came out when I was 15, or maybe 16, and it was on Living TV. Do you remember Living TV? And no one got it. It got cancelled. It got panned. I thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever seen, and I was still relatively, again, quite young. But it dawned on me when I was talking about Herbig Chance is Julie Walters was playing an actress who has delusions of grandeur, thinks she's that. Valerie Cherish, who Lisa Kudrow plays in The Comeback, those themes are so similar.
Yeah.
Right.
She plays this washed up kind of sitcom star that is making a comeback, and she's trying to control the narrative all the time with a reality show, and the subtext of what she doesn't say and doesn't do and looks at and whatnot. It's so similar to that Herbig Chance monologue. And that is interesting how that has informed a lot lot I love today of, you know,
the fall from grace,
The
or
fall
the
from
having
grace.
Loftier sort of thoughts of your
Yeah.
social standing
I love
than
yeah.
you actually have.
I love being able to see someone
Plummet.
polish in real time.
Yeah.
I love being able to just see, you know, oh yeah, well yes, no, I did that, but you know, you did, and I'm like, you can
it's the-
see
yeah.
them doing it, and that's Valerie Cherish, and that's Julie Walters and Herbig Chance. You know, it's that level of we're all fine, everything's good, yeah, no, and living in that
paddling
world.
frantically underneath.
Yeah, but it's interesting that I'm so obsessed with that, and I was obsessed with that around that same age. I think I probably subconsciously again loved that.
Yeah.
That
thematically.
But it's funny though that like you say that like as you're talking about it, like all these kind of dots connect because quite a few of our guests have said that. So this is kind of like a very therapeutic podcast.
Yeah.
So
it is, yeah, no, it does really make you think. And I was like, and I tried to really think about. I mean, I could have chosen loads of books, but like,
yeah,
I tried to think about
What
what
shaped you?
has shaped me,
yeah.
probably, yeah. Because like, there's loads of recent ones I've read, but I just enjoy them. Clara and the Sun is probably one of my favorite that I've read recently, which is just lovely. I think I cry more at books than I do
Laugh.
Oh, I tell you what, I did. I read years ago, The Fault in Our Stars. Now,
Oh,
do
yeah.
not judge that by the film, but
Yeah.
oh my god,
Harrowing.
I've heard that's
sobbing.
Yeah.
And I feel awful. I still haven't read A Little Life. I was
we
halfway
were
through
talking
and then
about that
stopped.
earlier today.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about quite how harrowing that is.
Yeah, yeah. I
And you
will
keep
read
thinking,
it one
is it
day.
going to get better? Oh no, more shit,
Yeah.
more shit.
Yeah,
Well,
no.
on a more positive note though,
Mhm.
what have you got coming up? So obviously you've got your
Imagine if it gets worse.
yeah.
More negative note. Tell us
God,
about
this
your
is like a
good.
little
tell us the
life.
Well, still doing the podcast, Bottoms Up.
Yeah.
Episodes out every Wednesday.
Same.
Same.
Yeah.
Oh,
Twinsies.
Oh,
never
I
have
see.
agreed. I realise I'm competing.
Your most recent one with Graham Norton.
Graham Norton, yeah.
Fab.
Got, Judy Love coming up. William Hanson, the etiquette expert.
Oh, amazing.
But we also have wine experts on as well. Yes, just plan. I'm just like I'm thinking. It's early days, but
Okay.
I'm gonna tour. But it'll probably be next year. So it's terrifying because my agent's currently like chatting to me about setting one up, and I'm like, like, and she's like, no, we're doing it. So yeah, and then just plodding along, loving life.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of this, Lee.
Thanks
It's been
for
an
joining
absolute
us.
pleasure. And we hope to see you again soon.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me. Once upon a time.
And if you've been inspired by any of Lee's book choices, you can find them on our website, uponatimepod.com.
And don't forget to subscribe to wherever you listen to your podcast, and you can find us on social media, Upon a Time Pod.